Welcome to iPad Pros, the show all about using your iPad to be productive and get work done. I'm Tim Chen, host of the show.
Hello there, welcome to another episode of iPad Pros. We're joined again by Riley Hill, and in this episode we're going over a lot of just different grab bag topics. Riley and I both got the iPhone Air, and we'll be sharing some upgrade woes that might be informative if you end up trading in iPads and other things in the future. And some just general iPhone Air thoughts and how it relates to iPad Pro with its thinness as well. And then Sony had their State of Play, and oddly enough, they released some speakers, or will be, that I think will be of interest to many iPad users. And then we're going to dive into some app updates for iPadOS 26. There's not a bunch that is out that we've caught our eye on, but just a few updates that I just want to turn people's attention to. And then dive into iPadOS 26.1 and what's coming up for that update. So that's kind of what we have planned, and there may be some other tangents as we dive into. If you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so over at patreon.com/iPadPros or by subscribing in Apple Podcasts. And with that, here's my discussion with Riley. How you doing today, Riley?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Oh, good. It's been an eventful couple days here. Exciting times. Tech September, as they call it, right? Yeah.
Absolute Tech-tember.
Yeah, Tech-tember,
like
right? Yeah,
it's been busy for sure. A lot going on.
A lot for sure. So, we have new hardware in the house. That I changed my mind fairly rapidly from I don't need an iPhone this year to the reviews start hitting and people are telling me about the experience of the iPhone Air and how it's actually pretty substantially different from what the tech specs might lead you to believe. And as an iPad Pro owner, we know how thinness can be, can feel really nice. And in a more handheld device like an iPhone, how maybe that's important. So I think we both got the new phones, and then the AirPods are here as well.
I was trying to be the voice of reason. I was trying to.
You were. I think last episode we talked about this, and you're like, you're getting it, but yeah, you shouldn't be getting it. It's got one camera, and that's important, and all that, and the cameras, that was a consideration. But in that time, I discovered a spatial media toolkit, which basically lets me take 2D 4K videos and convert them into spatial from my Vision Pro. And they look better than what you natively capture from the spatial capture in the 17 Pro, because Apple is still using 1080p 30 frames per second captures natively, and it just looks not that great, especially compared to a 4K conversion, which is really well done these days through this app I discovered. So that was the big holdup, and that since that problem was solved, it's like, okay, let's go ahead, let's look into this here. And so yeah, I got the white one as did you. That's the color to go with. I think black is the other acceptable color of the two. Yeah.
But it sounds like you maybe had a bit of a time.
It did.
Your phone. I did too, but not anything like you. It sounds like.
Yeah. So go to the store, do the trade. I wanted to do the trade-in at the store because I got a couple gouges around. I know I've dropped the 15 Pro on brick, before, and I've got some dents in the frame, some chunks missing.
Sure.
I noticed it probably more than anyone else, but it's there. So I want to make sure I get the full trade value, which I did there. So this is kind of like a lesson or whatnot for those that might be doing this with, say, the M5 iPad Pro coming out next month as rumored. If you're wanting to trade in an iPad at the store, the thing that really bit me was the iCloud security protections that they introduced a year or two ago, where if you're not at your home, they have this hour-long lockout from signing out, which is kind of a problem if you're trying to trade in your device. So they did all these things. They were able to get past this, right? They were able to do all of that. But one of the main problems was I name my iPhones in the general. You name your device. I don't do fancy names. I just do iPhone Pro Max, parentheses 2023. So I know I have the name and the year of the product. I do this with every device I have. So,
Sure.
Series 9, parentheses, whatever. And so all my products are just like the boring product name and the year. So when I restored from backup, my iPhone Air had this name in there. So when I went into the iCloud Find My part where they were telling me, oh, you need to go in here and choose to remotely wipe it and remove it from the account and all that. Didn't notice there were two devices there, both with the same name. And I chose to remotely wipe my iPhone Air that I had just gotten set up with the new eSIM and restored from backup and all that was going great. And I did that. And wow, that caused a lot of pain because the iPhone Air, it was to get this back up and running. It was much slower this time around because, the thermal properties of the Air, I think they're appropriate for what the device is, but you're basically expending, it gets very hot, right? Doing the restore. Like, this is not a normal operation. But if you do two of those back to back, that second time, you're already at max heat. So it was much slower the second time around. And then the bigger issue, though, was the first time around, it asked me when I did the restore, what's your T-Mobile PIN or whatever, and we'll get you set up with the new SIM card, the new plan. Second time around, did not ask any of that. And you go to cellular, it says scan a QR code or transfer from a nearby device, which that was not an option for transferring. Thankfully, yeah, right. So thankfully, the mall had a T-Mobile store that was still open, and they had a competent person there who let me kind of jump the line, and within 20 minutes, he had my phone back up and running with the plan on it. Because that was scary, because I went to kind of a faraway mall that it's dark, and I don't exactly know how to get home, and my Apple Watch removed its cellular plan when I changed phones, so I had no way to get home without that fixed. So it's like, please get this fixed because I feel totally lost without any cellular connection. Oh man, and all my passwords too were gone. So I thankfully remembered my iCloud password, but my iTunes password with all my app installs, I had no idea what that password was. That was on my iPad. I left at home for some reason. So that was fun. See, that's quite the time there. But I love the device. It's fantastic. But yeah, so just a lesson. If you're wanting to do this, there's trading in the store, I'd advise you to turn off the security limitations of iCloud logging out if there's a way to do that. I think, yeah, that's what really bit me. It was going so well until I was trying to log out.
I think, I guess, of somewhat relevance to this show, that's an iPhone only thing.
Is that okay? That's not. Yeah, that makes sense because it's designed if your phone gets stolen to make it harder within that hour.
Yeah.
Okay, so with iPad, that would probably not be an issue. That's
I think so. I remember when that happened, being a little annoyed that it didn't seem to support iPad, even though most people probably don't take their iPads out of the house. But
right,
I don't think that's an iPad problem.
Okay, that's good to know.
That's kind of is kind of like a worst case scenario of you usually have this tech that you could depend on, right? Like your password manager, and you always have access to all that. But when you don't, you're like, crap, what do I?
You know what the Apple Watch is lacking? Why is the Passwords app not in WatchOS? Why? I should be able to look up. I should be able to look up all my passwords on the watch. Why can't I do that?
It's true.
I know that you wouldn't be signing in on the watch really, but being able to just look at them would be handy. Yeah.
It would be nice to be able to, though. Like the Passwords app would, in theory, or it should enable. I know there aren't a ton of standalone watch apps that require sign in, but
yeah, but also imagine you're at your work and you want to log in on a Windows computer to a website, and then you can use Passwords app to get the password and the two-factor code or something. I know most people just use your phone for that, but maybe you can't have your phone for whatever reason. So I don't know. Just think about that. But so that was my update. Whoa. Yeah. loving the Air. We can talk about that in a little bit. But you also had an update, dealing with your carrier, right, with Verizon?
Yeah. I'll try to do this as quick as possible. I apologize for the dogs in the background, everyone. There's no way to tell them to be quiet.
They're guarding your house. I mean, it's a very important job.
There are children outside, let me tell you. So yeah, my story was not nearly anywhere as dramatic as yours. I picked up mine on release day. Mistake number one was not taking the day off like I originally planned, but I didn't do that. So I picked them up and thought, okay, I'll take a couple hours off work. I'll just get the transfer going, and then it'll go in the background. I'll pick them up when they're done.
So you did the phone.
I did phone to phone, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've always just done the iCloud restore just because it's the fastest way to get up and running, but I understand you have to re-enter passwords and stuff.
Yeah, as you know, I'm a pretty light phone user, so being without my phone for a while, I was like, yeah, I got my iPad, I'm good. So let that happen, but I was running into issues getting my eSIM moved over from my 15 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Turned out the issue was I had SIM protection turned on, like a good person, but a pin. I totally forgotten that apparently screws up like transferring your SIM in the settings app.
Yeah, a couple years ago, I ran into an issue because I didn't have a pin at all, and they didn't let you transfer without a pin on there. It's like, come on, guys.
Well, once I turned that off, then there was like an hour delay before I could move it. And then even then, I was still getting an error, so I had to call Verizon, and they helped me move it over. And then I thought I was good until I left the house, 6 hours later, went shopping, went to go look something up, and noticed I had no data. And so that was interesting. Thankfully, I knew where I was, but had no data. I mean, and they had Wi-Fi, but didn't have any data. So I had to go back home, another hour call with Verizon to get that figured out. The problem was something triggered a fraud alert. So my account got locked with a fraud alert. And I had to scan my license and send it to them, and it was like a whole thing. Like they'd put me in touch with loss prevention. It was it was an ordeal, but eventually got that figured out. Then yesterday, I went walking with as I do with my cellular watch.
Sure.
And cannot get my podcast to play, and I realize I have no data, and I go check my watch, and it says no SIM.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, great, that didn't work. And so I delete the SIM from the watch app, try to sign in. It has no idea that I have a Verizon plan. It's like, oh, let's set up a new one. I'm like, nope, not doing that.
Oh,
so
that's great.
Called Verizon again. This was maybe a half an hour. It's a lot quicker to get through, and a guy knew what he was doing to be able to get my SIM transferred. So now I'm finally back up and running totally. But these eSIM transfers, I don't know. They're never been as smooth as
they're great for its device to device. I've had good luck with that before. And then as far as the watches, so in the store, my Apple Watch Ultra 2 in the initial restore, it moved over properly, and then it got wiped again, and then I was like, oh, and it never could find the watch again, so I had to unpair it and just nuke it to start fresh. And I lost some of my watch faces. Now my Series 9, as a day watch, night watch person, that was fine. That transferred over right away when I got home. So I was, and that was running iOS or WatchOS 11 or whatever still, and that transferred over. But the 26, I guess probably because I already moved over. I'm not doing it again. I just did this. Probably, I don't know.
You reminded me. I did have that problem too, of the watch not repairing automatically. And it took about 15 tries of repair, and so can't see it. And I was going to unpair, and then eventually it just kind of took. But
I tried 100 times. It did not work with the Ultra 2. Series 9 is fine. That's so much better than it used to be. You used to 100% need to just unpair and repair. At least now they have some system to repair.
Yeah,
but it just the hit count is not great on that, evidently. I also must say the Pro Max is way too big of a phone right now. I traded from a 15 Pro Max to the Air, and I tried in the store. Let me see what these the Pros are like now. And that thing, it's 6.9 inches now. It grew what 0.2 or 3 inches, and that's just way too big. Like the 15 Pro Max was like that's decent. This is pretty good size for me. And then I tried the Pro Max for the 17. It's like, oh wow. So if I was going to go Pro, the regular size Pro seemed about perfect size wise. I prefer the Air being slightly bigger, and with this thinness, it's very easy to operate and use pretty much one handed. So that's nice. But the 6.9 is way too big for a big phone like that.
Yeah, you want that to be an iPad at that point.
Yeah, but the thinness is so nice, like because I was constantly with Pro Max, like it wasn't just the size, but just I think it is like just almost dropping it constantly. I'm in bed, like I'm gonna drop it on my daughter or something, like trying to just use it, and it's so nice, just how light and thin this thing is. Like it makes it fun to hold and use again.
I've seen a lot of people, or not a lot. I've seen a few people say that it feels futuristic, and I think Apple talked about it being like a piece of the future or whatever. And corny as that is, I think that really is true. Like you would hope, like in my mind, again, we're trying to go to this like sci-fi device future where we have these like thin, flexible, rollable, all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the future of electronics isn't like thick, heavy things. It's like thin. It's thin but still capable, and like that's what this is.
Totally. And I'm curious if to design this iPhone Air, they moved all the computer stuff into the camera area. Now the iPad has a bigger amount of space to work with. And the iPad Pro is, of course, thinner than the iPhone Air. I wonder if they'll, in future iPad Pros, if they'll take any learnings from putting computers inside just a small area of the computer. And I wonder if that, because the plateau is less thick on the, like the camera bump's not as thick on the iPad Pro.
Right.
I wonder if they'll take anything from this and apply it towards iPad design.
I hope they do. I mean, you never really know. They move on a weird schedule with the iPad, not even just like the update cadence, but when they bring things. Because in theory, like I would expect we'll see like the 18 megapixel camera on the M5. Like
that would be nice.
That would make sense to me.
It already has a center stage, but it's a crappier version. And
an iPad is, well suited. That front camera, I would imagine, for most people, gets more use than the back camera. But I have this sneaking suspicion we're not going to see it until like, the one after this one. I hope I'm wrong.
So the M4 iPad Pro? It's got one camera.
Yep.
What are all these other sensors? There's LiDAR on this thing, right?
There's LiDAR and the flash, I think.
Because there's a microphone back there, but there's also, it's weird. There's LiDAR and there. I don't know if you can look at yours. Is probably hooked into the monitor, but it's got like a big sensor next to the other one.
Yeah, one of those for sure is the LiDAR. But yeah, I wonder about the vapor chamber in the Pro, if that would be of any benefit in the iPad Pro.
Because the iPad, does that get? I'm trying to think when it gets hot. Like I do iPad, or podcast exports, video exports would probably do more with heat.
It in my monitor, when I have charging issues, it says it just stops charging. Like I never get that same like iPad needs to cool down like you do on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
It's never gotten that bad, but sometimes when plugged into my monitor, it will it'll just silently stop charging because it's too hot.
Interesting.
So it's never been a huge problem. I mean, again, thermal throttling is always going to be a problem on a passively cooled device. So like any gains there really would be appreciated in my mind.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, doing a vapor chamber on the iPad, and that'd be a big chamber maybe.
I really do want that new front camera. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the base 17 iPhone is 8 gigabytes of RAM, but the other ones are 12.
Yeah, the Air and the Pro are 12 gigabytes of RAM.
So
and then the iPad Pro, the 1 terabyte models are 16, right?
Yeah, but everything else is 8.
Yep.
Although supposedly people say that there's like 12 gigabytes or like some of the RAM is disabled.
Right, yeah.
8 gigabyte model. So I'm hoping we see, 12 gigabytes be the new base on the Pro? It'll be kind of embarrassing if it's not.
Will you update to the M5 no matter what, or does it need to have at least like the better camera or anything else in there?
So my 11-inch would probably get updated no matter what. I would probably trade that in and then get that one no matter what. For the 13,
You use your 11-inch more?
so my 11-inch is more of a companion device. It's
Mhm.
actually kind of my iPhone for a lot of the day, which is why the Air
Yeah.
works so well for me. So for the 13-inch, which is like my laptop, it would need some kind of significant either a redesign or like a huge performance increase. Something, because the M4, obviously the M4 is like handling everything. Maybe a RAM increase would be tempting, but I paid a lot of money for this.
Yeah, it's like I'm conflicted. Like what? I'm not sure what they could add to make it compelling because the M4 is such a nice piece of
It's
kit.
so good, and I encourage people. Yeah, once the M5s come out, go looking for deals on the M4s because they're amazing machines.
Totally. Is it weird to you that the iPad Air is called the Air now that the iPhone Air is actually thin and the MacBook Air is the thin computer there too?
It's strange. It doesn't bother me as much as it bothers some people. I mean, I get
Yeah.
it, right? It's inconsistent.
It is,
they're-
yeah.
But, the Air has a bunch of other problems I want to see addressed way before that. Although, if Apple ever did, because here's the thing, like, the Air should be something like the Pro is now, or even thinner. Like, I'd love to see.
Can you make this thinner? You
I
remove
think
the
you
USB-C
can.
port and then maybe...
I think you can. I don't know if you can get 10 hours of battery life, though, and that's the thing.
Yeah, I don't know how you do
Um,
without removing the USB-C port on the Air. Like...
I'm game for that, personally, but
Yeah, just charge it through a smart keyboard that you have to buy separately.
But I would rather see the bigger problem with the rest of the iPad line is obviously the iPhone line, except for the 16e. We're all ProMotion. We're all always on display.
Mhm.
The iPad line, a lot of good stuff is still trapped on the Pro. Like we need to filter some of
Yeah,
this stuff
promotion
down.
should come down the more things, I think.
Right. It doesn't even have to be OLED, although I think that's supposedly coming. I think in
The
20
mini with promotion,
next-
that's what everyone wants.
Right. But OLED, I think, is coming in the next couple of years too for both of those. But no rumors on promotion, and I would just like it's time, guys. Like we need to
Yeah.
move this along.
Yeah, maybe with the iPhones moving there, it gives us more hope.
I hope so. But I could also see, I don't know. I could see them cheaping out and not doing it. But I think it's way overdue. Again, it's that whole not having competition thing, right? Like the iPhone is in a very competitive space.
Yeah, Android phones, all of them in promotion pretty much. Well, not promotion, but, fast refresh screens.
iPad is kind of its own, outside of maybe the Surface, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Do you want an always-on display for iPad? Does that make any sense to you?
I want it. I don't know if it makes sense. I mean, because you do have live activities on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of an oddball. I bring my 11-inch iPad Pro with me places most people don't. So it actually would benefit me to have an always on display the same way it is on the phone. But
yeah,
I don't think they'll actually do it. I would love to see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wouldn't. I could see it probably doesn't make sense for most.
Right. Well, anything else on iPad or iPhone Air worth mentioning?
I love having a thin phone and a thin computer. Like,
yeah, they work well together.
it's a lot of tech people, right? In that we follow, everyone wants like the best everything, the best, biggest phone, biggest battery, fastest whatever. But I like this idea of enough. Because these things are so fast. I couldn't tell you the last time my phone felt slow, like legitimately, like performance was a concern. So like, there's an idea of like, yeah, the Air isn't the fastest, but like it's fast enough. It is enough, and it's thin, and it's just what you need.
Mm-hmm.
And the iPad feels like that too, compared to something like a Mac. And I just love that idea of like of enough. It's like a finely tailored suit, right? Fits you just perfectly.
Yeah.
That is what I'm going for. And the Air is just another step. Now we just need to work on Vision Pro.
Absolutely. Yeah, right. Well, I wanted to just mention the AirPod Pro 3s, which are in the house now. Couple just notes. I've always had to buy the Comply foam tips because the other ones will just fall in my ears. The Beat Solo Buds, those work fine for me, but AirPod Pros, I've never had good luck with the Apple tips, and I've used them, and I can tell you they fit nice and snug. Noise canceling is on another level from what I was using with the Comply with the AirPods Pro 2. Is like I put them in and defaults to that. It's like, whoa, because I had the air conditioning on, the fan on. It's like, this is way better than the AirPod Pro 2s in the same room. Sound was fantastic, and it's like, oh, this is good.
And this is on the same H2 chip.
Yeah, they got that low ultrasonic microphone in there. I think is helping. Because I mean, the Comply foam tips do a pretty good seal, so it's not that. It's it's got to be more so than more with the design there.
I also picked up the AirPod Pros 3. I do enjoy them. I'll have to do a more detailed check on this, but it feels like for me they stick out a little bit more in my ears than the Pro 2s do, which is fine. But otherwise, I happy to be on USB-C finally because I had the Lightning ones.
That's right.
So, yeah, I really enjoy them. I mean, the sound quality update is real. Listening to music on these, like I can absolutely tell the sounds more full to me than the Pro 2s did, and the Pro 2s sound pretty good. So that's been the big benefit for me. It's just
I'm excited to watch some movies with this thing in the Vision Pro. Like, let's put through its paces. And then I noticed in sitting in the case, the angle of the tip of the AirPod is like angled upwards a little bit. And I wonder if I'll get less like earwax from the inside the case because it's like not as snugly in there for the tip part. I'm curious on that.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I haven't left the house much, so I haven't used them a ton. But it'll be interesting to see if that gets any better over time.
Yeah, and battery life I'm curious about because I've been using these Solo Buds because they have like a 100-hour battery life or something stupid. Not that crazy, but I can get like through 2.5 full work days, maybe 3.5 full work days without charging them. So it won't be that good, but it'll be good enough. They say 8 hours, so that's a full work day. I probably wear them 6 hours during a work day, so if they can. In my AirPods Pro 2s, they were advertised as 6 or 5. No, it was like half that for me. It was like 2 or 3. It felt like maybe 4. Probably 4 is more accurate for what I was at with those. So I'm curious to see, can I actually use these and not need to put them in the charging case? So I'll try that tomorrow and see how it goes. I gotta say, everything arrived pretty much dead. My iPhone Air MagSafe battery was at 0% when it arrived, and the AirPod Pro 3s were like 40%, something pretty low.
Do you think there's any benefit because so the phones, at least the Air for sure, I think all of them have the N1 chip, Apple's wireless chip.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm just wondering if there's there's a battery life benefit there because it sounds like the chips in the AirPods were Apple designed too for Bluetooth and stuff. So now we've got Apple talking to Apple, and I don't know wondering if there's a battery life benefit of having their chips on both ends.
Maybe, but also, is it advertised only when you're paired to an iPhone and Apple Watch? Like, does that battery life extend if you're using it with Nintendo Switch? I think that's what the battery life is. So, I don't know. That would be an interesting test, though. Do the battery test using it with the iPhone and Apple stuff, and then do a battery test with an Android phone or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, a great product. Love the AirPod Pros 3 so far.
Did you change out the tip size? Or are you still with the mediums?
I go for the biggest ones personally. So I
Did you try the mediums, or you just let me just change them out right away?
I did, and honestly, it didn't feel that different. So,
Okay. The
but,
extra small to the largest seem pretty different in size.
it didn't feel a much different. But I did the seal test. It said it was fine.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm curious about durability of the tips. I did try one time a company that did the foam infused silicone tips, and they got destroyed within a month or two. These feel better, like they're actually designed for durability, which I'm sure they are.
yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see. Do these need replaced any more often than the old style would have? Because the old style AirPod tips, did you use just the Apple ones before?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have to replace those from wear and tear ever?
No, it's never been an issue for me.
Yeah, so I'm curious because the foam infused stuff from third party vendors, it would get bad. Like it would just start falling apart at a certain point. So I'm sure Apple figured that part out.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I hope this reminds me on the iPad topic. I'm hoping. I feel like it's pretty safe. We'll see the N1 in the iPad Pro as well.
Yeah, that would make sense, right?
Right. Yeah, because that would bring Wi-Fi 7 because we're still on 6E.
Oh, we are, aren't we?
Yeah.
And then if you're a Best Buy Plus member, $20 off on the AirPod Pro 3s. So that's the move if you want a little bit of a discount at launch. So AirPod Pro 3s, solid. Very glad to have them in the house and start using them. And then Sony just had a state of play. And normally I would not mention this on iPad Pros, but for those that have listened to this podcast, you probably know how big of a fan I am of the Pulse Elite and Explorer headphones I am. This is Sony's lossless wireless technology that you plug in a USB dongle. So to get lossless audio from whatever device that dongle is plugged into. Currently, it's a USB-A dongle, but starting next year with the speakers I'm about to talk about and also their fighting stick, they're going to be shipping USB-C dongles, which that has me very excited because that means you can direct plug that into an iPad Pro if you want. And that means you can have this, either with the headphones or the speakers now, you can have iPad audio from that, and these things also Bluetooth, so you can have your iPhone and your iPad in the same sound output, which it's really nice having that. You know, with AirPods, you're switching back and forth. I'm playing stuff here. I'm playing stuff here. It's a headache if you're using both devices at once and want audio from both. It's just not a good experience. With this, you'll get both in the same output. I'd love if AirPods did this one day, where you just let's have two things connected at the same time. But the Pulse Elevate speaker is coming out next year. It's a cool design where it's the same thing with Bluetooth and also the wireless dongle-based link audio. But it's they've got these magnetic charging bases that sit at your desk. They're desktop speakers is how they're designed. So you just put them on the little magnet stands, and then they're charging stands, right? So you just pick these things up, and you got 4 or 5 hours of speaker playback wirelessly or just on the go. So you can bring these with you on the go. And I'm not sure how small these things are. It's probably more around the house kind of thing, but maybe on trips and stuff too. But, use it with the PlayStation Portal or, your iPad and iPhone. Just, I'm going upstairs to work in the other room and let me grab these and go. And it seems like a really cool product from a lot of angles, not just the gaming side of things.
Yeah, I not sure where the design of the PS5 sits now. I know at one point it was kind of divisive, the design language of the PS5.
Yeah, people hate it
Pro.
or they love it. I love it, but many people hate it. Yeah.
It is. It's one
bold.
Of those things. It is bold and it's different, right? People complain so much that tech is so iterative and companies never change anything, and then they do, and it's like, no, go back to the old thing.
Guys, it's shaped as a V, a Roman numeral V for 5. Come on. It is literally PlayStation 5. It is a V. It's perfect design. What more could you want? Yeah.
But no, it's a beautiful aesthetic. I have, at this desk I'm at right now, I have the studio display, so if I got these, it would be for pretty much for aesthetics.
Because you could use it with that monitor. Even I think does the monitor itself have USB ports on it?
The studio display, yeah. You
Yeah.
have, you have 3 additional USB-C ports in addition.
Yeah, so you could plug that into the link adapter into your Apple monitor, and anything you plug into the Apple monitor would then have audio from that. Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see which has better audio, because the studio display famously has pretty good audio.
You'd have the
especially for a
separation,
Yeah.
at least.
That's true.
But yeah, it's designed. You can angle the speakers different directions depending on where you're sitting. I have a feeling this would be better audio. Just
Sure.
They're salient speakers. I would feel that would probably be the case, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, these look pretty solid though. I would, I'm definitely, I just love that aesthetic, and we'll see what price they come in at. Of course, they didn't announce a price. Just looking at them, they look $300.
Yeah, I wonder if they come with a carrying case or anything like that. Some of their products
Of course
do.
not.
Well, some
No
do,
way.
like the Pulse Elite, or the DualSense.
Earbuds?
The
Oh.
DualSense Elite come with that. Like they come with a little carrying case. I've got mine here.
Okay.
And then the Fight Stick will have a carrying case it comes with. So I'm curious, since these are designed to be moved away from the dock, I wonder if they'll give you something to put them in. Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. Anyways, let's move on to some app updates corresponding to iPadOS 26. So the first one I want to just bring up is Ferrite, and it added the background export. But the thing is, my podcast exports on this iPad Pro, I'm exported almost by the time I would ever trigger this. So I'm not sure if I will ever see this ability, but it's cool to know it's there. I guess if I work in full screen mode, that would come up more, maybe. But yeah.
Yeah, because that's a good point, right? Just as a iPadOS kind of side tangent, if you're using the full screen app multitasking mode, which isn't multitasking, it's single app mode, you do still have background tasks that does still work. So you would run into this here. But that developer, I don't use Ferrite. I don't have a podcast, but if I did, I would probably use it. But I get the feeling that developer is very responsive, and like they're on top of like new features and updates. So I'm not surprised to see Ferrite have an update basically day one. Right?
Yeah, it's got the liquid glass UI, and it also, I need to test with AirPods Pro 3. It has it takes advantage of the better microphones in some unique way. Developers can target those headphones, which I need to investigate what that is, because that's curious to me.
Next time we do this, I'm going to try. I should try recording with the AirPod Pros 3. Just the voice isolation would probably be good for me.
Yeah, I'd be curious how that sounds
else.
compared to your good mic.
Be worth a test. I do want to do a video that way too. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Just Apple is promoting this for like content creators, so it's like, okay, well, let's give it a shot.
Totally. And the biggest surprise is Chrome, which has a liquid glass update. This is Google here, guys. So, any words on this one? I mean, it'll be another year or two before Docs gets anything.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Google, I guess different teams can move at different speeds. I don't think we'll ever see Docs get this just because they move at a glacial pace. I'd be interested more generally. I can tell you my opinion, but how have you felt these liquid glass updates have been in these third-party apps? Like,
they're there, but not like it's Apple's been tweaking the design all summer, so it feels like they're there to get at least a version 1 out to fit into the OS, but maybe it'll take the better part of this upcoming year to truly refine it.
I kind of, it kind of feels like how I feel about liquid glass on iPadOS in general, where, on iPhone, it's like in your face. Like, I think it's relatively clear that they were designing this was designed for iPhone first and then kind of applied to everything else. But the couple of apps I've seen this in, it just feels like they slapped on a new coat of paint on the, and I think the idea was that you're maybe supposed to reconsider parts of your apps, like maybe this was I think supposed to be part of a bigger redesign in how apps work. And so far it's just been like this button that was now blue is now glassy blue or something, and that's I've been a little in the initial kind of set. I've been a little disappointed in just the effect of liquid glass to this point, but I'm hoping that changes.
Yeah. Hopefully. And then OmniFocus is the next one I'll point out, and Liquid Glass, of course, but they're also one of the apps that's integrating with Apple Intelligence, which this is a cool thing. So apps can use Apple Intelligence to empower their apps with local models. And I need to research more what you can do with this, but they're using it with Omni automation plugins that can be installed on the iPad version and other versions as well. So that's interesting. Agenda is the other app that's going to takes advantage of Apple Intelligence. So I'll talk about it in a minute here. The other exciting thing is with watchOS, the control center controls are there for OmniFocus. I'm curious how that is. Yeah.
The Apple Intelligence thing is huge. Like we kind of heard about when this was announced at WWDC, right? Having access to a local model that you don't have to call out to the cloud for it. I don't have to have manage API keys and token limits and things of that nature. Even though yes, it's limited, but it's super cool just to have it and know it's relatively available on pretty much every Apple device, if you use Apple Intelligence, and it's just there and you can use it and no rate limits, nothing like that. So I do hope to see more developers take advantage of this. I want to take more advantage of this in shortcuts myself. I know I see people doing that and I just haven't gotten in on that yet, but that's pretty exciting to me. I think more so because I'm starting to use shortcuts more than I did. So
yeah. Well, and I really would love to see what other apps are using Apple Intelligence. Like, give me the full list of what people are doing creatively with this. That's kind of unique.
Feels like a future press release for Apple. Like, oh, look at how great here's how all these developers using Apple Intelligence.
Yeah. Agenda is the one that caught my eye the most this so far, and they've been a past sponsor. Love those guys; they're great. In version 21, so they've got the liquid glass interface, a new layered icon for iOS 26, and Ask Agenda. The Ask Agenda assistant, it uses Apple Intelligence. Ask Agenda has access to all your agenda notes, and it uses an on-device model, does not use the cloud at all. You can pose questions to Ask Agenda in everyday language and get responses from Ask Agenda as your assistant. It'll give you links to the most relevant notes and responses from Ask Agenda. And you can limit queries to notes in different date ranges, like agenda. Tell me about this stuff that happened, in the past couple of months. If you're a premium user, you can pose follow-up questions to Ask Agenda, have kind of more of a conversation with with your assistant in Agenda. So that's kind of cool. Imagine you build out this Agenda database with all this information. It kind of has me posing the question: should I be doing different things in Agenda other than podcast prep? And should I have Stephen Hackett has the Apple History database or whatever. It makes me wonder, should I have some information in here to just be able to use the Agenda Assistant to kind of just glean info about different data sources, which would be interesting. Imagine if I had the Mac Tracker database within Ask Agenda, where I could ask about different iPhone models and stuff.
Yeah, that's something I also kind of ask AI about a lot when I'm writing is when did this model of whatever come out, and when did this feature get added to this the iPad or whatever. So having that locally makes a lot of sense, and what the Agenda people are doing here is a perfect use for this. and like I said, it's built in, and it's only going to get better, right? Like I'm sure it's pretty good right now, but as Apple improves Apple Intelligence, as they are highly motivated to do, this feature is only it's going to just pretty much automatically get better over time, which is super cool.
Yeah, and I wonder if Devin will embrace this as well. It's another like information management. That's an information management app more so than what Agenda is. But they are much slower to updates, as many people know. And Devin thinks great, but it's yeah. So I'm curious if that, because I'm curious what other apps would do similar things where it's like, let me basically have an assistant for this app that you can glean information from what's in.
It is a wonderful use of large language models. It's something I see at work. We've toyed with building a tool like this, right, where you can throw in project documentation, right, and have the LLM, give you knowledgeable responses. And we're also seeing some clients do that too. So this is becoming a very kind of pervasive use of LLMs, kind of in tech, at least in my experience.
Yeah. And then the last one that caught my eye, we'll talk about Final Cut Pro as well, is a transcriptionist. And this is made by, I believe, Ferrite. Yeah, it is. Same guys that make Ferrite. And got some nice updates, some really nice updates. So this is an app that basically you can export your Ferrite podcast and transcriptionist to get a transcript of that podcast. It'll, you can input the speakers and that'll be in the transcript and all that. But it's got support for Apple Intelligence powered transcription. So that's cool. I want to kind of see how that compares to the models he was using prior, which one's better. But the really cool thing, support for background transcription. Now, this is huge. This is huge because basically before, if you're doing one of the bigger models and you're doing a 90-minute podcast, I might need to have that iPad open for like 3 hours chugging away at that transcript, right? And that was just untenable. And I did it a couple times. It's like, this kind of sucks just because of how long it took. If you use the bigger models, makes much more sense in the Mac where it can just be chugging away on the Mac. But yeah, I really want to check this out with the background ability. Now, do you know with background ability, if you turn the screen off and put the device to sleep, it'll stop, right? The device needs to be awake at least.
If it works like Safari downloads, it should continue.
That would be huge.
The only problem, and the problem with all in quotes with all of this is you're never really guaranteed anything as a developer, and they tell you that. Like, I mean, they prioritize battery life. They prioritize the foreground app. So, I think it should work, but how they apply that.
Yeah. So yeah, I need to play around with that because that's interesting. Anything else that caught your eye as far as updates and background tasks and all that goodness?
I've been, checking the apps I use for any iPadOS 26 updates. The only one really for me has been the Jetpack app for WordPress, which I'll use for sort of managing my site. Got an update. It's pretty much like I said, where it's like, button was blue before, and now it's glass. Otherwise, it's the same. Like it's fine. It doesn't feel any different. I was hoping, transitioning to the next app, I was hoping by now we might have Final Cut Pro with proper background exports, but we got an update and we didn't get that.
Yeah, that's bizarre, right? It seems weird. They said this is coming. It has some new things. Like, what's new in the update?
I think the update was really just to support some of the new camera features from the 17 line.
Okay.
But
the camera features in Final Cut Pro or the camera? Or both?
Both.
So there's camera features within Final Cut Pro?
Well, for processing the... I would have to...
Yeah, but there's something in there for that.
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
Processing the... I want to say ProRes RAW, the new... Yeah, I'm not really a camera guy, but,
Yeah.
Camera stuff. So,
yeah, camera stuff, yeah.
but there were updates for that. But no, the first thing, of course, I tested was trying to export a video in the background. It didn't. It works like it does before, where you have to keep the app open. Which, as a reminder,
not as big of a deal once you're on iPadOS 26.
Yep, it's fine. Like you can export, leave it open, and do other things. It's not as pressing as it may have once been. But yeah, I feel like the Pro apps team, all of them at Apple, iWork and Logic, Final Cut, they move at their own pace on their own schedule for some reason. And so it would have been really nice for iPadOS to have that app with background tasks available on day one. I think it's just going to show up one day. I don't even think it'll be like you would think it might be when the M5s ship. I think it's just going to show up in like randomly in November one day. It'll be like, oh, and here's the background download feature or export feature rather.
Yeah,
it's
weird.
Just like we'll see an iWork update randomly where it's like, oh, iPadOS 26 support, like just on a random Tuesday. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
But yeah, I'm a little sad, but I'm not surprised.
Have you tried shooting video with the FaceTime or the center stage camera on the iPhone Air? I can imagine that'd be interesting. Like, if it follows you around and stuff. Oh no.
Oh. No, I've shot one video with the back camera, but I haven't done the center stage camera yet.
That would be interesting to try.
Yeah, definitely worth trying. But
all the and the iPhone camera with the Mac thing, you need to use the back camera, right? There's no way to use the front camera with that setup, I believe.
I believe it has to be the back camera,
which should be interesting if they adjust that specification with the new front-facing cameras to make that work the other way. It seems like it makes sense to actually let's enable the center stage camera for that mode now.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. I haven't used that in forever. I feel like that was on the Mac, that iPhone camera thing on the Mac was more before we got the 1080p cameras. Like when we switched to Apple Silicon, they upgraded the cameras too. Yeah. I was using it on my old Intel 16-inch, which had the not great 720p
Yeah, I don't
camera.
use it. I got an external webcam that's just easier to just do that, but it seems interesting.
Okay, so I just had to, I finally could grab an iPad because I couldn't leave it like we did. The Final Cut update was support for Apple Log 2.
Okay.
Support for which I guess you can record with the new
on the
Pros. The Pro model.
Yep.
And then more controls for editing ProRes RAW.
Okay.
In Final Cut, and then just the menu bar that you get just by being on iPadOS 26. So
sure,
that was what was in this last update for Final Cut for iPad.
Such a huge update. I'm joking.
No back.
I mean, it's something.
So one thing we'll get one day. I don't remember which video this was, but in one of the WWDC videos, they mentioned, I think starting next year, developers won't be able to opt out of not supporting resizing their iPad apps. So they're going to be forcing the ability to resize apps going forward. And Final Cut, Logic strangely does this. Final Cut does not. And so I will be very excited to have a version of Final Cut that will actually work better on an external monitor, isn't locked to, two sizes.
Now, do you think Apple's own apps will be forced to follow the rules?
Yes, but they won't have whatever deadline they set. They won't have to follow. They'll get to it when they get to it. But I think they will support it. And I think like it doesn't make sense that Logic supports as well as it does, to be honest. But I can imagine that team said like, okay, like we can't make this app isn't usable any smaller than it is now. And there's no way we're going to support, slide over in this thing. So it's like, like we were not doing this, guys. So we'll see.
We'll see. So I was looking up Screens 5, which also got an update for 26. And you know what was advertised to me there?
What's that?
Duet Display. Do you remember this app?
Oh, yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
Right? Duet Display. Yeah. They're still up and running, it seems. No update for 26 yet, but yeah, Duet Display is still a thing, which makes me happy, This was an app back in the early days, They they have a Vision Pro app.
I remember, and this isn't a knock on them, but I remember when when Apple shipped Sidecar, they were understandably pretty salty about it.
Yeah.
But then I think they expanded like to Windows.
Yeah, it looks
They
like they have
expanded to other
Windows.
platforms.
Yeah, on the Vision Pro app, they're advertising you can hook up to Windows PC with their Duet display.
So I think they actually ended up in a better place because like they had to move to other platforms, and I feel like it was actually probably a positive for them that Apple kind of came in to horning on their turf, but yeah, it's good to see they're still around.
Yeah, they're now subscription based, which is fine. But it's funny because I did buy that app back in the day. I wonder if there's anything if I install it. It's like, oh, thanks for being a original member back. Oh, yeah, it's weird. App version history doesn't seem to go back to the very first update, or I don't know if they relaunched the app at some point.
Okay.
It only goes back 2 years. But Screens 5 is the one I was about to mention here. They got an update that one of the bug fixes in this update mentions they fixed connectivity issues if you're connecting to Leopard, which I just love that. Like someone probably sent in a bug report to them. Hey, I'm trying to connect to my Leopard, G4 Cube, and it's not working. And they went in and fixed it. But it's got liquid glass. It's got full app menus. So they probably went in and made sure the app menus made more logical sense than what did before. There's different keyboard upgrades for input modes for both hardware and software. Better file transfers. Even if you switch apps, I'm guessing that's the background processing thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would think.
Yeah.
So Screens is always on top of it. So that's another.
Yeah, I haven't used that app since iPad 2, excuse me, but
Yeah.
it was always such a beautiful app. Like of all those remote desktop clients, was just I was loved just how much care they put into their UI, and I'm looking at the screenshots now, and it looks like they're still doing it.
They're still doing it. Yeah, I moved over to them with the Vision Pro app that was native to that platform. That's what got me back into their ecosystem. Because Jump Desktop is my other favorite in that space.
Yeah, no, this is great, and that's a wonderful app, and maybe I'll find a use for them again at some point. But that's good to see that they're on top of this as well.
For sure. And then lastly in the notes here is iPadOS 26.1.
Yeah.
And not a whole lot. Just briefly, just want to mention for people on the radar what's coming up. The AirPods live translation, which I guess that's more of an iPhone feature. They're adding 5 new languages. Japanese is one of them, I believe. Apple Intelligence is now going to become available in 8 new languages, which that's actually pretty cool if you aren't, an English speaker and you're somehow listening to this podcast through some kind of translation tool. But Chinese, Danish, Dutch, Norwegian, Portuguese, Swedish, Turkish, and Vietnamese is coming to Apple Intelligence. Apple Music adds a new swipe gesture to change tracks. Are you on the betas? Have you tried this swipe thing?
I have. I read about this, and it took me like 10 minutes to figure out how to get it to work. So I'm swiping this whole bar. It is actually just the kind of where the track name is. That little middle section is where you have to swipe. It's interesting. I'm thinking how I listen to music on the iPad specifically. I don't know where, when, or why I would use this, but it's cool that it's there. It's probably better on the iPhone, but it's there.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking with the iPhone Air? Hold up your iPhone Air. Imagine if they cut off the iPhone Air right below the volume down button, and they made that into a modern day iPod, because all of the computer stuff is in the camera bump. Imagine them making this tiny device, because they don't need a ton of battery for that little iPod, I wouldn't think. Imagine if they made a tiny little iPod with that technology.
I do wonder sometimes. You see this a lot on social media, right? Bring back the iPod. I wonder if Apple's ever actually thought about that.
Yeah, like an Apple Music dedicated device. I wonder I think there's a market for it. I don't know if they'd ever do that because they're just like it's on all your other computers in your Apple. The Apple Watch is the iPod. Is probably how they see it.
I think that's also probably a downside of Apple being so big. Is like they can't. I guess they're probably not as enthused about a product that doesn't have a huge market or something they see being huge, like the Vision Pro down the road. But like, I feel like the bar for them to even bother is like so much higher than it used to be.
Yeah, I'd love to give like a kid a little tiny like iPod type device.
Yeah, I miss the iPod Touch. Like I've never owned one myself. I used them at work at one point, but they were, I'd love. They were just nice. They were nice devices.
They were. I was at a friend's house, and seen them in a while, and on the counter was an iPod Touch. I picked it up like, whoa, this thing's so thin. And then I realized the iPhone Air is actually thinner than what this crazy thin device is. That one's deceptively thin too because it had the sides that were like slanted in, like the wedge design.
Yeah, I remember that being that was always a wow device when you picked it up. The iPod Touch. It's like, geez.
Still is today. It's like, oh, it's a thin device.
I was like, I remember,
and they're not expensive. They're nice and inexpensive.
I remember thinking the iPhone will probably never get to this. And then like, here we are. We're that,
Yep.
Got a super thin iPhone now, which is wonderful.
Yeah. The Photos app has a redesigned video playback scrubber. Is this anything of note?
It gets the liquid glass update, so it's glassy. There's a little bit of an animation when you start scrubbing, like the time animates up above the scrubber. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's not nothing too major.
And the calendar is full with color highlights for all events. Hurrah! The phone app keypad has liquid glass. I just opened up my phone app on the iPad running 26.0, and I just noticed, hey, there's no liquid glass there, so that's getting glassified.
Yeah, you can really see it in dark mode. It's harder to see in light mode, but in dark mode you can actually kind of see it. And there's a nice kind of like a bounce animation as you type the keys. So that's probably, as you know, I'm a big fan of the phone app, so that's probably my favorite part of this 26.1 update right now. But
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love having that phone app. It's the interesting thing about that is it's kind of, at least in the iPad community, brought this resurgence of the idea of like, well, why can't I, like, I have a cellular iPad, why can't I use this as a phone? Like, why can't I directly just use this number?
I did that back in the day. I did the Skype phone thing. I had my cellular iPad, did my Skype number. I was living that world. I even had a Wi-Fi Skype. Back in the day, you could buy Wi-Fi Skype phones. And I had one that was just a Skype phone that connected to it. It's like, oh, this is it. This is future, guys. We're Skype today. Microsoft botched that one.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Teams is their solution, not Skype. Come on. We have this poor baby Skype. I mean, come on.
Skype, such a waste.
If you told me we'd be podcasting with FaceTime instead of Skype a decade ago, you're crazy, man. Yeah.
We used to want Skype so bad. Like I barely used Skype. I just wasn't.
That I remember that ring. I should get that ringtone from Skype and have that as my iPhone ringtone. That's such an iconic ringtone. This is such a good ringtone. Someone's got to have that saved somewhere.
Do you just remember those days of like, I think around the iPhone 4 of like, I just remember the discussion about like, oh, the carriers are blocking, these apps.
They were, VoIP apps. They were being blocked, and tethering apps as well were blocked, and eventually they just did natively and charged you more for some plans to do it. But I remember abusing the hell out of tethering on the iPad with a jailbroken iPad, and that was fun back in the day.
Yeah, just some of those restrictions. Looking back on it, it's funny, but like. The iPhone, as we know, living through it, right? It changed the cellular networks. Like AT&T got hit hard, but like now the networks are actually in pretty good places because of the iPhone and all the traffic, and Android, of course, too. But
sure,
just how robust they have to be now versus back then where no one used data. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, wild, right? Yeah. Well, anything else before we wrap it up?
I don't think so. I'm anxious to see what the M5 iPad Pro is going to look like. You know, rumored to have 2 cameras, which will be 2
On the front.
cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
which-
necessary? I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, very curious what of the new iPhone improvements we're going to get. Hopefully, I mean, honestly, I know iPhone and cameras, but I would love to see the 48 megapixel camera come to the iPad too. Like, if it's going to have a single camera, like,
Make it a good one.
yeah, I mean, and I still want visual intelligence to show up on the iPad. I think that's actually a real use for the camera. Yeah, maybe it is just around the house or something, but like, I think it should support it the same way the iPhone does. So
The iPad does have a 2x fake camera, just like the iPhone Air.
yeah,
How big is the sensor in this iPad Pro?
I mean, so I think 12 all the cameras I think are 12 megapixel on the iPad.
They're 12, and they still do
Yeah.
the 2x thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is
I mean,
a curious discovery. So
yeah.
we're on FaceTime. I'm on my Mac connected so I can do the recording without a Zoom H6 recorder. It's refusing to let me record video while I'm on a call. Even though I'm not on the call on the Mac or the iPad. There's an error. Hey, you can't record because you're doing a phone call? That's weird, right?
That is very strange. I'm not
What's
sure
it worried about? I'm going to grab my iPad, record you talking on the Mac screen, and
you can tell the iPad you have full permission.
Yeah, I'm going to open up my iPhone and see what it does if I go to the video. iPhone does not care. The iPhone camera works. That's weird. Okay, iPad, you got some weird tricks up your sleeve, I guess. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, both of them have the little camera icon where it's like if you hit this, you can transfer the FaceTime call. But on the iPad, it just says can't record video on a call. I just took a screenshot of that. I'm going to definitely share that at some point. Anyways, next month should be exciting. We'll, I'm sure, have an Apple event with all sorts of odd and ends from Apple. New iPad. New iPads.
That is what's left, isn't it? It's like
odd and ends, yeah. New
like
Macs, maybe. New home devices, maybe.
Not the one we want.
The speaker thing.
Yeah.
With the screen. I don't know if it's going to have a screen. Maybe the thing.
Like a new Apple TV, which is like, okay.
Yeah.
If you're not going to push gaming, like, why are you bothering? But, yeah, I feel like we'll have another week of press releases, or I feel like the iPad Pro has a good chance of at least getting a video, because it'll probably be the first device with the M5, and of course they love their chip videos to tell us how amazing it is. So I think we may at least see an iPad Pro like video show up on YouTube when the M5 drops. But
I'll be curious. Yeah. And then we, of course, need the Vision Pro accessories to launch at some point soon.
Yes. Jeez, oh Pete's. Yeah. I'm ready to give you money, Apple, for these PSVR 2 controllers. Like,
absolutely.
Let's do it.
Yep.
Hopefully not too much money, but,
Well, where can folks follow you online and all that you're up to?
SlatePad.org is the place you want to go for writings, and we'll get you to my YouTube channel. We're doing videos, mostly on iPad, but we're going to see some iPhone stuff coming up here soon. And make sure you say subscribe there. But SlatePad.org will get you where you need to go.
Cool deal. And yeah, thanks for your time tonight. This is great.
Always a pleasure.
Well, that was my discussion with Riley Hill about all sorts of different Apple-related and iPad-related topics. Make sure to check out SlatePad.org. And as a reminder, you can support this podcast over at patreon.com/iPadPros or by subscribing in Apple Podcasts. With that, I'll talk with everyone again real soon.